Did you know the Phase 1 clone Jet Trooper was actually meant to be blue? In the original Battlefront 1, you can clearly see that his armor wasn't green. There was even a normal variant for this skin, but it was later changed to green at launch and blue was given to the heavy class, which is what we have now in Battlefront 2. It's interesting because that's actually the ARC Trooper Lieutenant's outfit, so not really a heavy. In fact, most skins for the clones do this, like the clone Sharpshooter's armor being the Paratrooper, which are trained for more aerial combat. So the clone Sniper should look something more like this, which is from a mod and it kinda looks like tech. Plus, the clone Heavy is actually just Commander Bakara's armor. But arguably the most unique skin is the Clone Engineer. We never see this in episode 3, but it's actually worn by Commander Faye, which was meant to be the clone seen on Seleucumai in Order 66 until his model got swapped out by Commander Neo's battalion, so he never made it in the movies. Instead, he was then made to be deployed on Kashyyyk, responsible for hunting down Quinlan Vos, but was ultimately killed by him. It's a shame we never officially saw Faye, since his armor was a bridge between Phase 2 clones and Stormtroopers. His chest piece, shoulder pads and helmet all scream a prototype to the Stormtrooper gear, while his lower torso doesn't change. He's also the only clone in his battalion that wears this special armor, which makes the Clone Engineer even more cooler. But the misidentification of classes isn't exclusive to clones. On the Imperial side, the heavy class is named the Shock Trooper, but they're literally just wearing the backpack and shoulder guard of the Tatooine Stormtrooper, and Shock Troopers actually look like this, but because of the lack of variation in Imperial skins, they had to fill in something. Surprisingly though, every other skin actually appears in the original trilogy, mostly relating to their class specialty, all except for one, the Dark Trooper, which never had a canonical appearance. So what even is this class? Well, its full name is the Phase 0 Dark Trooper, where the Empire experimented with aged veteran clones by giving them exoskeletons to help them in battle, replacing many body parts with cybernetic enhancements, which sometimes resulted in over 70% body modification. But just like the current canon of The Mandalorian, the Empire continued to experiment with the Dark Trooper, just without clones, which led to Phase 1, 2, and 3 of the Dark Trooper being completely a battle droid. These were surprisingly first introduced in the 1995 Star Wars game called Dark Forces, and eventually leading to Phase 0 being introduced in Battlefront 1. Sadly, there isn't any other map-specific variations for this class, but still one of the most out there units in all of Battlefront history. Speaking of skins, only 3 heroes have an alternate costume depending on the planet. Luke uses his Episode 6 lightsaber and robes for every map except for Hoth, where he uses Anakin's lightsaber with the pilot jumpsuit. Anakin uses his Episode 3 attire for every map, with the only exception being in the campaign mission Nightfall, where he uses the iconic hood during Order 66. And finally, the third costume was cut from the game, being Ben Kenobi. While young Obi-Wan is the hero on the Death Star for the Republic, it was most likely that this unfinished Ben Kenobi model found in the game's files would have ended up being the map's Rebel hero counterpart, since according to the wiki they shared the same force abilities and attack moves. What makes this even cooler is the fact that Obi-Wan and Anakin, although being on opposite sides, share the exact same moveset excluding their force ability, to show the connection of master and apprentice. But if this skin was put in the game, Obi-Wan would have stayed the same, while the now Darth Vader has a moveset that resembles the Emperor's dark side force abilities, being the only 2 characters that glide when running. But every time I bring this point up, someone in the comments says that this isn't true because Luke shares the same moveset as Ki-Adi-Mundi, when in fact only his main attack is the same. Even Dooku does this action with one hand. However, while Mundi and Dooku's running attacks are different, Luke shares the same running attack as Yoda. And as we know, Yoda trained Luke, Dooku, and guess who? So it's only right if they have a few techniques in common, and I swear it's not because of lazy programming.